Welcome to the Zentangle Project Pack series. This lesson is part of Project Pack 4. My name is Rick.
Hey, and I'm Maria, and Project Pack 4 is designed around a specific project we are calling the Zentangle Spinner.
Today is the 9th day in the series, and you don't need to watch these out of order. You can do it anytime and play along in any order.
Okay. Today we're going to guide you through filling one wedge of your spinner with some tangles.
And I have started here with Hollabaugh, and this is a very basic approach that we use in many of our tangles. And we lay down one line, we aura it, and whenever you come to another line, we draw behind it. And you will use this in many, many tangles. And you see, I literally do draw behind. That's what works best for me.
He imagines the lines going under there.
Yeah, instead of just thinking where it might come, I draw it in the air as if it was actually there. And whether I need to or not, it's just become my habit.
It's nice to have sort of a way of doing tangles each time as a habit, you know.
Yeah,
that
there's this familiarity, and you get into a rhythm of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do them in any way, those Hollabaugh lines, but a lot of times we like to do the chaotic instead of the perfectly, parallel or right angles.
Right. So this is one called Cubine. It's really a cool tangle. And where did we saw this in Paris?
Yeah, this was we saw it. It was a
in
vase
a window.
in a window. Yeah,
it was beautiful. It was done with wood, inlaid wood.
What
What's
is that called? Intarsia or?
No, I
But
can't
what
remember.
it was like little wood chips and different colors and maybe some ivory, and this is one of the few tangles in which the shading is an integral part of it. Shading impacts many of the tangles, but this is one of the few that it's an integral part. Now, when you draw a line, notice I am just doing corner to corner and stopping. I'm not trying to draw through the line. And that is a good way for you to not miss the corner, basically.
Right.
And then I do a smaller square, sort of the middle of one side to the middle of the diagonal, and then the middle of the diagonal to the other side. And
so it sort of looks like one of those bowling scorecards, right?
Yeah, exactly. And just going to do that on each one.
So that diagonal guides you in where to put that little square.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat, efficient way to do it. I like that.
And just find out what's the most comfortable way for you to hold your pen. Remember to breathe. Don't hold your pen too tight. And turn your tile as is comfortable for you. So I'm turning it each time, and even as I fill it in. A lot of that has to do with the way my hand naturally moves, in which direction.
So I think it's really cool that everybody gets a chance to see four of us doing tangles on this spinner. Right? There's four of us.
Yeah.
And Julie, five of us. And we all have our little ways of doing things, and they're all okay, and they're all right. And there's nobody does it wrong. So this is a tangle called Zip. It's spelled XYP, and it's pronounced Zip. And it came from on the dollar bill, I think.
Yeah.
Some of the engraving, they're really cool engraving on a dollar bill.
You sort of need a magnifying glass to see it, but it's
there.
The inspiration for this.
So it starts with some X's, which that's pretty easy. And then you join the X's, and it makes this beautiful, what's that shape? That's like a five-sided?
Sort of like a stretched...
1, 2, 3. No, it's four-sided.
Stretched hexagon.
Yeah.
But then the fun part is in where the X, where they cross, we're going to put a little...
Square
diamond shape in.
It's sort of mimicking what's there. So this is for very typical stuff in engraving, right?
Mm-hmm.
They use straight lines because it's really easy to engrave in a straight line.
So you'll see these patterns in engraving and in some sort of like the dishes that we have. A lot of times you'll see
Yeah.
around the edge of a plate.
Yeah.
And then of course aura is a wonderful thing to just add texture and support for that pattern. So
I think you guys should study your dollar bills and
right?
see what you can come up with. Yeah.
And then do a little curved lines in there to balance out the straight lines. We're really making the most of these small little spaces on the spinner. It's going to be fun to see them all completed. So there we go with zip. And we've got a couple spaces, but I'm going to combine them in a tangle called a rookus.
This is a really cool Molly tangle, right?
Yeah, Molly came up with this, and she was on a conference call with our good friends at the Sakura Pen Company, and it was a pretty long call. And during that time, she was playing around and created this tangle, and it's called a rookus because it is Sakura spelled backwards. And Sakura makes our absolutely wonderful pigment-based pens.
They've been such great partners to work with. It's just a really treat.
So the pens are actually little bits of actual chunks of pigment instead of dissolved dye. And it really interacts with this paper in the most delightful way. The essence of this is the again, aura-ing and hollowbaugh. So we're aura-ing the circle shape now, but we're using the hollowbaugh technique of drawing behind those rays or those spokes. And then we're going to alternate back and forth, aura-ing the circle and then aura-ing the spokes.
It's really quite simple, you know.
It's wicked simple.
Rinse and repeat.
But it's one of those, it's like the essence of a really cool tangle because it looks so complicated and it has this really nice drama to it. And it's actually very forgiving even if you get out of order.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going back.
Nobody's going to slap your hand
right?
in Zentangle. Yeah, you just got to realize that.
So I'm, turning the tile, doing all of the arcs. And then once the arcs are done, I'll go back to the straight lines. And those elements start to weave through each other. Very similar to aura knot. And you can choose to stop at any time or keep going, but I think that's pretty good right there.
Nice.
Nice effect. So time for some graphite, and with hollowbaugh, it just, if you find the top board and then the next board, and I'm just putting a little bit on either side, and it's going to lift those right up off the background, particularly when you go in with the tortillon. And I'm not trying to pull it away from it. I'm just softening the edge and pushing the graphite into the fibers of the paper. I only have to do a few. You can do them all if you want, but I just did a few. So on Cubine, the inspiration was this vase that had 3 different colors of wood, like a really light one, then an ebony, and then a
An
medium one.
ivory stuff.
Maybe the light was an ivory. And
This piece was so spectacular. I know that this is a very, pretty plain looking, but the piece that inspired it was just
gorgeous.
beautiful.
And even though this is, is put down evenly, the tortillon just makes it even more even and just gives it a great color. So now you get that sort of 3D, little box effect or something. Lots of different ways you can shade a rookus, and I'm just
Oh, you're just going to go halfway.
just going to do a little bit on either side. And then where there is something to be shaded, I'm going to put that next to the zip. And I'm just going to, as you can see, put some graphite, and notice how that really pushes those little diamonds out, lifts them up. And of course the tortillon. Sort of make that look like it's going right under there. And when we shade, we're thinking more of dimension rather than light source or quality of light source. Just looking at the shading as part of the pattern itself. Because in some ways that's an odd shading.
Beautiful.
So thank you so much for joining us for day 9. We'll see you on day 10. And we really appreciate you spending time with us, and we look forward to seeing what you do.
See you later. Bye.
Bye now.